I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I'm just trying to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm at my breaking point. I've been with Emily for about 5 years now. We got engaged last year, right around the time she was finishing up her master. Things seemed pretty good, at least on the surface. She was always a bit of a bitch, honestly, super demanding and quick to lie when she didn't want to deal with something. But I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We had a pretty typical relationship, fights about money, her being dismissive, me trying to keep everything smooth. But the signs of trouble started creeping in months ago. Little things, her wanting to stay late at work more often, secretive texts, her phone buzzing constantly but she'd always hide it quickly when I walked into the room. I thought maybe she was just stressed or being paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Still, I tried to ignore it. Then came the things I can't forget. She started canceling plans last minute, acting defensive if I asked about her whereabouts. She'd snap at me out of nowhere, call me insecure if I questioned her. And her attitude, God, she was bitchier than ever, more dismissive, almost like she was annoyed I existed. I figured maybe she was bored or just tired of me, but I brushed it aside. I mean, I was giving her the benefit of the doubt because I loved her, and everyone says that's what you're supposed to do, right? But the real bombshell came a couple of nights ago. It was a typical evening. I was working late on some project, trying to get ahead at my job, and I decided I'd check her phone because something just didn't sit right. I was half joking, honestly. I never snooped before, but I'd been feeling this gnawing suspicion for weeks. So I grabbed her phone from the nightstand while she was in the bathroom, and that's when I saw it. A string of messages between her and her childhood best friend, Mark. At first, I thought maybe it was harmless. Old friends catching up, right? But then I started reading, and what I saw made my stomach drop. They were talking about meeting up, about sex, about how much they missed each other. Explicit shit that no friend should be sending to someone's wife. I saw pictures too, not just texts. Pictures of her in a hotel room in bed with him. She was wearing that same bitchy smirk she always had when she was being manipulative, and he looked like he was about to lose his mind. The amount of betrayal in those messages, it was like a punch to the gut. I sat there, stunned, like my brain just froze. I couldn't breathe. All the little signs that I'd been dismissing suddenly made sense. The secretive behavior, her snapping at me, the late nights. It wasn't stress or work, she was cheating. With her childhood best friend. How could she do this? How could the woman I trusted more than anything else in the world lie to my face like that? I felt this mix of rage and heartbreak and confusion all at once. It was like everything I believed in, everything I thought we were, was just a lie. I didn't even know how to process it. I stayed up all night, just staring at those messages, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. Part of me wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed to plan. I wasn't going to let her spin some bullshit story. I wanted to hear her admit it face to face. I knew that would come soon enough. For now, I just kept replaying what I saw over and over, feeling like my world was crumbling beneath me. The next morning was a blur. I could barely function. My head was pounding, my stomach in knots. I kept thinking about those messages, about her in that hotel room with Mark. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. All those conversations, the dismissive attitude, the bitchy comments, everything suddenly made sense. She'd been lying to me from the start. It was like I had been living in a stupid movie where the ending was already written, except I was the fool who didn't see it coming. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I couldn't do it right away. I needed my head clear, and I needed to come up with a plan. I didn't want to go nuclear without having all the facts straight, so I decided to wait. To gather more info, I started checking her phone more often when she was out. Every message, every call, every little thing she did became part of my investigation. I didn't trust her anymore. She had lied so much that I honestly didn't know what was real. One thing I noticed was her changing behavior. She began acting more bitchy, more dismissive, like she was trying to push me away. She'd blow off my questions about where she was, give short answers, and when I pressed her, she'd get defensive and call me paranoid. Typical, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew she'd been caught and she was trying to cover her tracks. No way was I going to let her get away with this. A few days later, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I set up a time to talk, knowing she'd be at her parents' house visiting her mom. I wanted her to finally come clean, face the consequences of what she did. When she got back, I was ready. I was furious, hurt, but I also needed her to admit it. No more lies, no more bullshit. That's when it all exploded. I confronted her in the living room, and her bitchy smirk slowly faded when I threw the phone on the table and showed her the messages. I watched her face twist, like she was caught but trying to play innocent. She crossed her arms and started lying right away. "It's not what you think," she snapped, trying to dismiss it all. "It's just some stupid chat, a misunderstanding. Mark and I are just friends, that's all." I wasn't buying it. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her I knew everything. The hotel room, the sex, the messages. She looked at me, eyes wide, then sneered, "You're overreacting. You always blow things out of proportion. Honestly, I don't even know why you're making such a big deal about this." That's when the anger snapped inside me. I felt my blood boil. How could she be so fucking brazen, so cold? I yelled at her, told her I'd seen enough and that I wanted her to leave. She kept lying, calling me insecure, saying I was crazy, that I was making it all up. But I saw the truth in her eyes. She knew she was caught, and she was trying to save herself. The emotional impact hit me hard. I'd trusted her, I'd loved her, and now I was standing here realizing that everything was a lie. I felt betrayed and humiliated like a fool. I wasn't sure whether to cry or to punch a wall. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could betray me like this at the worst moment, our engagement party no less. It was supposed to be a celebration, a sign of a new start. Instead, it turned into the worst nightmare I'd ever faced. I remember feeling this strange numbness, like my heart had been ripped out and replaced with a stone. I wanted to shout, to scream, to do something intense, but all I could do was stand there, staring at her as she lied and sneered. I knew I had to make a choice, what to do next. Do I forgive her? Do I forget and move on? Or do I fight to end this nightmare? The truth is, I wasn't sure. All I knew was that my world had shifted forever that day, and nothing would be the same again. After I kicked her out, the house felt like a prison. I couldn't escape the weight of what I'd just uncovered. I spent the next couple of days in this weird limbo, bouncing between anger, sadness, and pure confusion. I kept replaying everything: her smirk, her lies, those damn messages. It was like my mind was trying to make sense of a puzzle that had no solution. Honestly, I felt betrayed on a level I never thought possible. The woman I loved, the woman I was planning to marry, had been sneaking around with her childhood best friend for who knows how long. I tried to reach out to a few friends, but honestly, I didn't want to talk about it to anyone. I felt humiliated, like I'd been played the fool. The worst part was that she kept trying to reach me, sending texts, calling, even showing up at my apartment. Every message was a new slap in the face. She'd say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You don't understand how much I love you," as if she hadn't just been banging another guy behind my back. She acted so bitchy, snarky, like she was trying to manipulate me into forgiving her. But I wasn't about to fall for it. One night, out of pure frustration, I decided to go through her social media accounts. I'd always suspected she was hiding something, but I'd never had proof. When I looked, I saw more evidence: photos of her and Mark together, some with them both in the hotel room I'd seen in the messages. There were comments, too, from him calling her mine, and from her replying with some snarky emoji. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. All those times she said she was busy, stressed, or working late, she was actually with him, having sex, lying in bed, pretending everything was normal. I was furious. The anger started boiling inside me again. How dare she lie so much? How dare she treat me like a fool? It was one thing to cheat, it's another to keep lying even after I found out. I felt like I'd been played, used, and discarded. The betrayal ran so deep that I started to question everything about our relationship. How long had she been cheating? Was it just that night, or was this going on for months? She'd always been bitchy, difficult, and dismissive, but I never thought she'd do something like this. Eventually, I decided I had to confront her again. Not to forgive her, not to beg her to stay, just to hear her lie to my face one last time. I texted her, telling her I wanted her to come over so we could talk. When she showed up, she looked different, more defensive, more bitchy, like she knew she was losing control. I didn't hold back. I told her I knew everything, the hotel, the sex, the messages. I told her I'd seen her in pictures with Mark, that I knew she was cheating on me at the engagement party of all times. Her reaction was classic. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk and said, "You're making a huge deal out of nothing. You're just jealous, that's all. Mark's just a friend and I was just having some fun. You're overreacting because you're insecure and controlling." I couldn't believe how brazen she was being. She kept trying to spin it, acting like I was the one in the wrong. She had no shame, no remorse, just this nasty attitude, like she was trying to humiliate me further. That moment was a revelation. I saw her for what she really was: selfish, manipulative, a liar. She didn't even try to deny what I'd found out. She just kept spinning her stories, trying to make me feel like I was crazy. But I was. I knew the truth. And that truth was that she'd been wasting my time, playing me for a fool all along. The worst part was feeling the emotional devastation all over again. I'd given her everything, my trust, my love, my future, and she threw it all away for some meaningless sex and attention from her childhood best friend. I realized then that I had to make a choice: stay and keep hurting myself, or cut her out of my life completely. The pain was relentless, like a gnawing ache deep inside my chest. I didn't sleep that night, just sat there staring at the wall, trying to process the reality that the woman I loved was a liar and a cheat. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. After that second confrontation, I felt like I was living in this weird, numb fog. Part of me wanted to yell, to break everything, but I knew that wouldn't change anything. I just felt this overwhelming sense of betrayal and loss, like everything I'd believed in was a lie. I kept asking myself how I could have missed the signs, how I could have been so blind to someone I thought was my soulmate. She was so bitchy, so manipulative. She'd always been good at hiding her true self behind that bitchy attitude. Now I saw her for what she really was: a liar, a cheater, someone who didn't care about me at all. I decided I needed space. I blocked her number, deleted her from social media, and told my friends I needed time to think. Honestly, I didn't want anyone's advice. I just wanted to be alone and figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. I'd always been a pretty straightforward guy, loyal, honest, maybe a little naive. But now I was questioning everything. How could I trust anyone again after this? How could I ever look at her and not see a stranger? That anger kept simmering just beneath the surface, but I knew I had to keep it in check. Revenge seemed tempting, but I also knew it wouldn't bring me peace. Not yet, anyway. I kept thinking about the night of the engagement party. That supposed celebration, that moment of supposed happiness. She was out there lying to me, having sex with Mark, maybe even planning to leave me. I replayed the scene in my head over and over, trying to find some way to make sense of it all. How could someone be so bitchy, so manipulative, and yet still act like the victim? It made me sick. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, not just at her, but at myself for trusting her so blindly. One thing that kept bothering me was the fact that she kept lying about everything. I knew she was hiding more, probably even more than I'd discovered. I wondered if she'd been cheating on me for months, or if this was just a one-time thing. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that she'd lied and I'd been a fool. I started looking into her phone again, trying to find any other signs, any other hidden messages, but I didn't find much new. Still, I felt like I was missing something. Like there was more to this story that I'd never know. Then came the moment when I finally decided I had to cut ties completely. I sat down and wrote her a long message, nothing angry, just honest. I told her I'd found out everything, that I couldn't be with someone who lied to me, who cheated, and who played with my feelings so casually. I told her I deserved better, that she'd broken whatever trust we had. I knew I wouldn't get a reply, but I needed her to know I was done. I felt this strange mixture of relief and sadness. Relief because I finally took control, and sadness because I'd lost someone I thought I loved. In that moment, I realized I was at a crossroads. One way led to bitterness, revenge, and anger, paths I knew wouldn't give me peace. The other way was to accept what happened, to grieve, and to move on. I chose to try and move forward, but honestly, I didn't know how I'd do it. Every time I thought about her bitchy face, her lies, and that fucking hotel room, a wave of pain hit me. But I also knew that staying stuck in that anger wouldn't help. I had to find a way to forgive myself for trusting her, even if I never forgave her for what she did. That's where I'm at now. Still hurting, still angry, but trying to pick up the pieces. The worst thing is knowing she's out there, probably acting like she's the victim, trying to spin her lies to anyone who listens. I just want to move on, but part of me feels like I'll never forget what she did. I guess what I've learned is that not everyone who's bitchy on the outside is honest on the inside. And sometimes, the biggest betrayals come from the people you trust the most. It's been a few weeks since I kicked her out, and honestly, I'm still reeling. The anger has cooled down a bit, but the pain is still there, gnawing away at me every day. I keep telling myself I made the right choice, cutting her out, ending whatever kind of sick game she was playing. But that doesn't mean I don't wake up some nights feeling like I've been punched in the gut all over again. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever fully trust anyone again, especially after someone I loved turned out to be such a manipulative bitch. I've started focusing on myself more. I got a new job to keep my mind busy, and I've been hitting the gym more often, trying to rebuild some sense of control over my life. Also, I've been talking to a counselor, which has helped me process all the shit. I don't think I'll ever look at her the same way again. She was so bitchy, so full of lies, so dismissive of everything I believed in. And that makes me angry, more angry than anything else. How could someone be so selfish, so cold? The thing that really stings is the realization that I was nothing more than a backup plan for her. She'd been cheating on me at the most important moment of our lives, and she didn't even care. That fucking hotel room, those messages, they weren't just about sex. They were about her throwing away our future, our engagement, everything we planned for just so she could get her kicks. It's like I was just a game to her, another toy she played with when she was bored. And then there's Mark. I can't forget him either. I looked him up online, of course. He's just some guy, regular, unremarkable, probably just as much of a bitch as she is. I keep wondering, was it just a moment of weakness? Or was this a long-standing affair? Did she plan this out, or was it just some stupid fling? Honestly, I'd prefer to think she just cheated once so I can hold on to some shred of dignity. But deep down, I know better. There's no way she'd be so bitchy and manipulative if she hadn't been doing this for a while. I've tried dating since all this happened. Honestly, it's hard to trust again. Every girl I meet feels like a potential threat, like she might turn out to be just another lying bitch. I don't want to live like that, but it's hard to let go of the anger. It's like this weight I carry around all the time. Sometimes I think about reaching out to her just to get some closure, but I know that would only make things worse. She's probably still lying, still trying to manipulate the situation just like she did with me. The big question I keep asking myself is, did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Or was she just inherently bitchy, the kind of person who cheats and lies without a second thought? I keep telling myself I wasn't perfect, but I was decent. I didn't deserve this. No one does. The betrayal has left me with a hard shell, and I'm trying to find some way to crack it open, to let the pain out and move forward. But honestly, I'm scared I never will. Losing her, seeing her smile, hearing her bitchy voice, knowing she was lying all along, has changed me forever. I guess I've learned a few things through all this. 1. Never ignore the little signs, those secretive texts, her dismissive attitude, the late nights. 2. Some women are just manipulative and their bitchy exterior hides the real game. And 3. Revenge isn't worth it. I can't undo what happened, and I don't want to become bitter. I need to let go, but it's a slow process. Right now, I'm just trying to breathe and remind myself that I'll be okay, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Now, after everything, I've come to a place where I can finally see things more clearly. It took a lot of pain, a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of questioning myself and what I thought was real. I've realized that the woman I loved, who I thought was my partner, my future wife, was actually just a bitchy manipulator who lied constantly. Her betrayal with Mark was the last straw, but honestly, I think I knew deep down that something was wrong long before I found those messages. I just didn't want to see it. I've learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair, at least for now. I've also learned that some people are just inherently selfish and manipulative. The kind of person who can lie so easily, who can betray someone they supposedly love, just because they're craving attention or a thrill. That realization was brutal, but I guess it's better to know the truth than keep living in some fake version of reality. As I sit here, reflecting on everything I've been through, I feel a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief because I finally took control, finally said enough, and cut her out of my life. Sadness because I lost someone I thought was my everything. But it's not just sadness, it's also a lesson. A really harsh one, but a necessary one. I now know that sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes people are just selfish and bitchy, and they'll lie and cheat without a second thought. Moving forward, I plan to focus on myself. I want to heal, to rebuild my confidence, and to be smarter in the future. I don't want to carry this bitterness forever, but I won't forget what happened either. I'll take this pain as a lesson about trust, about reading the signs, and about not ignoring the red flags. Sometimes people wear a bitchy mask, but beneath it, there's a lot of lies and betrayal. I've learned that the hard way. So to anyone out there who might be going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how small. And don't be afraid to walk away from someone who's manipulative, bitchy, or just plain toxic. Because at the end of the day, you deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. I may have lost her, but I gained clarity. And that's something I never thought I'd find in a moment of heartbreak.